From lease to keys, we're going to give you the breakdown this morning how you can exit the rental market, buy something of your own, and what the cost truly looks like. Stay tuned. Good morning. You're mute. Please unmute.
How are you?
Yeah, excited to be on this topic this morning. I feel like
Yeah, this
I
is
love
up
these
your alley.
topics.
Hey,
Yeah, passionate. I had someone quiz me on the weekend at an open home about this. He's like, "Wow, you're
yeah,
so knowledgeable," and I'm like, I love it though. I love it. I'm passionate about it. This is the price point I work within at my happiest. I think sometimes.
yeah, and I think but you wish we could get onto people earlier because we sort of get them by the time they're at funds approved and looking at properties. But I think today's a little bit about if you're in at home with parents or in rental accommodation at the moment, and you're thinking, how do I save a deposit? And you're thinking, how do I actually afford a property? And you think, no, I can't do it, but I want to do a holiday, but I want to do this, and I also want to get that thing in the car out of the way. You sort of like keep putting it off, and then the prices keep getting further away from you.
Yeah, and just in the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 sales all around at 700. One was at 550,000 on the Northern Beaches
Yeah.
in DY with parking. So these apartments, they are there, and it's just about getting ready so you can move quickly when they do come up, because they're hard to come by. We're going to talk this morning about why on earth would you basically own a property when it costs more than rent each week. What do the true numbers look like? And then we're going to touch on rent vesting as well.
Yeah, and I think the concept of it's actually closer than you'd think. So hard dollars, if you're renting a 1 or 2 bedroom unit with friends, you're probably going to be up how much, Billy?
So we're going to give you an example this morning. A studio in DY just sold for 715,000. The rent there would be 700 a week. Really
Okay,
nice.
so some let's just take like general person in the marketplace, splashing the cash. You're probably spending 500, maybe $600 on rent. At the moment, you're in somewhere in Sydney CBD. You're in Northern Beaches, whatever. Now, so you're probably dusting about 2.5 grand a month in rent.
Yep.
Now, if we move that model over to buying, how does that look?
Well, the same property. So assuming a lot of these first home buyers are buying with a 5% deposit. So
Yeah.
you got to remember, guys, you can't have the best of both worlds. You can buy with a 5% deposit, keep a lot of your savings dry, or just scrape together minimal savings altogether. But it will mean your loan repayments are going to be more. If you want to beef up your savings and put a 20% deposit down, your repayment's going to be a lot less. So assuming you're taking a 5% deposit on a loan at interest only rate of 5.9%, and you're borrowing enough to buy this $715,000 studio, the repayments on that are about 900 a week,
So
$200 more a
you're
week than rent.
Yeah, massive. So you're going to be losing 10 grand a year compared
Correct.
to renting. But
Correct.
what does capital growth look like on if you own it?
Yep. The capital growth, and also I encourage you to look at what rents are going to do in the next 5 years, because the rate at which rates are growing is it's compounding twice as much on the capital growth. So you've got the capital growth component here, but you've also got the rental increase, which will be factored in over the next 5 years. And all of a sudden, you want to talk about the market moving away from you. Try catching up here, and then try catching up here. Because if you're going to stay renting, it's really hard to save in the middle. So this is where I'm seeing friends move out of home thinking it's a great idea to get their own place in their 20s, but they haven't sort of saved with mum and dad, or having expenses low, and then they can't catch up because prices are moving away from them, and then also rents are getting more expensive. It's like a double gap.
So and I think, and to give people an idea of how much we're seeing rents move, a $700 a week unit can be as much as $100 in the next year, and then the year after that. So I would say it's done that in the last 2 or 3 years, and I'd say do that in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think you can easily whack on $200 over the next 3 years, if you
Yeah.
decide to stay in the rental market, and if you decide to buy, that's what you're going to be saving, because you aren't going to be, it's going to be plugging into your mortgage.
Yeah. Now, I think I'll come back to this 20% deposit thing, because where I see a lot of people come undone with buying their first place is they think, well, I'm not going to be able to live here forever, so I won't buy this type of asset like a studio.
Yeah.
A typical example. Um, this is a really nice segue going into then the rent vesting, because once you've purchased it, if you're going to be a first home buyer, live there for 12 months within the first year of buying it, you really need to stay there for sort of 3 to 6 months. And then any time after that, you could choose to rent it yourself. And by the time you plug in all the benefits to negative gearing, tax depreciation, the rent coming in, it's almost running net neutral. Then you're freed up to live wherever you want.
Yeah. And something also to consider is, what does the capital growth look like?
Yeah. So
What
this
Like we talked about, I loved what you talked about with rent, making money out of rent because the rent's going to go up. But what does the capital growth look like if that's like these couple of spheres you sold in the last month? What were they worth 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
So my vendor purchased off the plan 2016. The property was finished around sort of 2017. He paid 461,000 for it. We've just sold it for 715. That's 244 grand, if I got my numbers right. That he made in capital growth, and that's on a studio apartment where he's done nothing because he bought it brand new off the plan. So he didn't do renovations or improvements there, but he gradually grew with the property to the point where he was ready for the upgrade. The upgrade didn't cost as much from starting out from scratch.
Well, it's almost doubled.
Yeah, so it's exciting. 55% capital growth, I think, over 9 years, because it was off the plan, although the building was already
Yeah.
established.
Well, I remember those units. I started selling those at 400.
Yeah, there's different layouts there. Some were a bit smaller, some had balconies, some had no balconies. All the price points changed, but the reality is that you can buy in DY for 550. It happened 2 weeks ago, and it did have parking. And then if you've got a little bit more to play with, you can buy up to 700. They're still there, and the rents they're running so close to net neutral now that I think it should be really encouraged people looking at buying for themselves. It's a wealth
And
vehicle.
also, and as a first home buyer, I think you should also consider that you can even just stay in the accommodation you're currently in. People think first home buyers have to like stay in that live, stay forever in what they buy, and they don't. And I think that people can go back to mum and dad, live with mum and dad again. People can go back to share letting, share renting
Yep.
something. To save money if they've bought. And that's what I think people sometimes don't know that word rent vesting is, but that's what rent vesting is. So yes, you're renting a property with a mate or a partner, but yes, you also own another property that you actually have as an investment property. You're a landlord there. Perfectly okay. You're in the market. You can use your first home buyer grants. Can we talk about that? How much you have to save to get in deposit wise? Because that's exciting.
Yeah, so 5% deposit with no lender's mortgage insurance is the first home buyer grant. So traditionally, if you're a buyer in the marketplace and you've got less than a 20% deposit, you end up paying this insurance fee to the bank. But
Yeah.
that's where the government steps in and says, no, we'll back you on the other 15%. So yeah, I mean, we're witnessing people buying properties with 30, 35, 40,000 as a deposit. That's really manageable. And then it's just making sure your income's strong enough to loan the second part.
Yeah, who would have thought you can buy something with a 30% with a $30,000 deposit in the Northern Beaches? You'd say impossible. You would say impossible.
Yep. And then the other confusions people have is that stamp duty. You don't pay that under 800,000, and if you go over the 800 mark slightly, you get a concession prorated rate up to $1 million. So it's not like you lose all your savings, you just chip away at it, and above $1 million, it's market value.
So I think the message from today is just get in, but get into a good suburb. Don't just get into Queensland because it was cheap, Melbourne because it was cheap. Get into a really good suburb, and you don't have to be too precious on the type of asset. Whether it's a one bedders are okay, studios are okay. A lot of people are just chasing their beautiful two bedder. And it's like, I'm not, until I got a deposit together, I'm going to keep saving, but you don't have to. What's Lisa got to say?
What's Lisa got to say? Yes, you can get loans on these. Absolutely. I think there's a big misconception in the marketplace that you can't get loans on small apartments. It's not true. You've just got to be a little bit more savvy with the lender you go to. And sometimes there's, constraints, but you got to just plan ahead and ask the agent what's the experience of past buyers in the building, because quite often it's not the first sale.
And pick up the phone. You're a free call. I'm a free call. Don't care where you are in Sydney. Happy to help friends, family, clients. Doesn't matter who you are. Don't think you're wasting our time if you're not doing a deal and buying with us. Wherever you are, happy to help. Or Google Novak Properties First Home YouTube, and you'll see we've done probably about 30 videos on first home buyers, and self-educate yourself there.
Absolutely. And finishing comments, I think that from my what I've witnessed so far is it's these small properties that are actually the most sort of flexible and manageable. You can do all different things with them. You can live in them for a bit, rent them for a bit, So I think actually moving into the 2-bedroom space straight up, it's a bigger anchor. I think it will stop you doing your holidays a little bit more because you stretch so much further. I think it will stop you from doing your new car. So I think start small, but it's a good starting point.
Just get in, and look, always, again, feel free to call us.
There you go.
Thanks, Billy Bob. Everyone, have a great week.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.